Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Breakfast with Brokers. We are here again with Erin and Tom, and this is our second episode in this new format, so we're super excited. Shout out to Carney Part Studios and Scott, our producer, for keeping us on track here. So, as you know, we like to highlight a different breakfast spot. Today, we're going to be talking about ethics, and so we've decided to drink.
Cheers.
Who doesn't love a glass of whiskey for breakfast?
Oh, yeah. Is that what this is?
It is. I think it's Hennessy.
Oh my God. It smells like my dad.
That's creepy.
Dad. Yeah, so let's jump right in. We have a lot to discuss on this topic. All of us are very, very excited for this episode. It's why it got moved up to be the second one we record. I think we're going to kick it off by talking about, everyone's talking about getting rid of NAR. And there's a lot of reasons to get rid of NAR. We are not paid by NAR. If anything, we pay NAR. So just know that. But there are some real big reasons to not get rid of NAR. And I think as a broker, I can share one very important piece. So if you are a member of NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah, so for those of you guys that are not in the industry, that is our national association that kind of governs a lot of the rules and things like that. And frankly, NAR is what got sued for. You're really struggling there.
You don't have to drink it all in the first 2 minutes.
Chest hair. Oh my God,
it's
really
sipping.
strong.
It's sipping. You sip it.
I did sip it.
Did you not watch any like rap videos in the 90s?
This is what they drank? No.
Yeah,
There
it's
was
Hennessy.
Like Alizé.
No, it was Hennessy.
This is Hennessy?
This is Hennessy.
Oh, Jesus.
I love the glass. Shout out to Scott with the beautiful glassware. Okay, sorry. Back on track.
Anyway, so what NAR is the National Association of Realtors, and that's kind of our governing body. And they are the ones, frankly, that got sued a few years ago in the class action lawsuit that completely shifted the way that our industry and the way that things work when buying and selling homes.
Or tried to.
Did it?
No. No.
Like I remember when we had those meetings when this was going on and we were scared. Like we were like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And we have more paperwork. We have more conversations up front.
Which is a good thing.
But I don't really think like the way you get paid. Like that was the main concern. Like nothing of that really changed.
That piece of crap that actually brought
Oh.
Actually, we can leave that in.
Tell us the truth.
That brought that lawsuit and listen, I don't know what they were doing out in the Midwest. Who knows? They could have actually been doing something unethical. But that guy that brought suit for the Sitzer-Burnett case, like 2 days after he won all this money and like literally destroyed all these companies and all this stuff, he opened a discount brokerage. It was like all a ploy to like do this, whatever. Anyway,
it feels like it was a ploy, right? To get his own stuff going. But it's certainly, listen, at the end of the day, agree or disagree with the way the lawsuit was handled and the things that happened in the industry as advisors and agents, it's certainly shifted the way that we do our jobs.
Yes. 100%.
And I think that we can all agree on that. And whether you agree or disagree with NAR as a governing body, there are pros and cons to keeping them. I think that's what what Lisa's going to get to here is what are the differences, what are the pros and cons. Frankly, I'm kind of the mindset that it is what it is. The rules are here; they're not going anywhere. Put your head down and work, and figure it out. Yeah. Now, Lisa, as from a broker perspective, has a different outlook on kind of the way that NAR governs and things like that.
Yeah, and I found out the hard way. So essentially, what NAR does is NAR, if you are a member of the National Association of Realtors, so you have that little R next to your name, you have to go through a mediation process prior to going into a courtroom. So if you want to have a lawsuit between a client and an agent or whatnot, you have to go through this mediation process, which allows all these ethics complaints to kind of die or be mitigated before you actually spend taxpayer money and going to an actual, is it taxpayer money?
No.
I don't even know. Whatever. Before you get to a trial, you have to do that. Why is that good? As an owner of a brokerage, we had a lawsuit a couple years ago that I don't think I'm actually allowed to talk about, so we'll leave it at that. But that NAR process was useless in our case because it was so crazy, the lawsuit. But that's when I learned about this. That's when I found out that you actually have to go through this process where people, in theory, talk about it with reasonable people and they say, okay, well, we'll give you this if you go away, or we do that, whatever. And then you don't have to go to trial and incur all those costs and legal fees and all this stuff. If NAR goes away, anybody can sue anybody. And what I think people don't realize, because they're not at the broker level, that could be insane. So I think when I talk to our Liberty board, I think we have like double the amount of ethics cases or something. Don't quote me on that, but there's a huge uptick in ethics complaints. And I think
since the lawsuit?
That's an interesting point. I don't know if it was from since the lawsuit or just in general right now.
Okay.
But I think anytime that you're making a move to regulate more stuff, like now we have to have buyer's agency agreements. I think they're brilliant. I think it's brilliant that we have to do this.
And a lot of states were using them prior to even the lawsuit. I remember when this whole thing settled. I remember the day it settled, calling Matt LaMarche down in our Atlanta shop because I knew that he had used them, and I knew that Atlanta, had to have them. And I remember calling him, and be like, "Hey, what's your pitch when you're going through one of these things with your clients? How does this work?" Yeah. It always sounded great in theory when we took our real estate classes, right? Because they always taught us about it. And, oh man, this is great. But the truth is, it never really got implemented up here in New Jersey. And now it's just second nature.
Speaking of that, to people that aren't, in the industry, it's you're signing with.
So the buyer broker agreements now are you are hiring your representation for the purchase of your home the same way the seller is hiring their representation for the sale of their home. Think about it as the same way that you sign a contract with hiring a contractor who's going to work on your home. That the same way that you sign a contract with an attorney who's going to represent you. You're contractually employing us for the purchase of your home and the home search that you're going to go through.
And furthermore, what was all up in arms was there was a big push to make the buyers pay for their own buyer's agency. That hasn't really happened. We've had some deals where they make up the difference, but few deals where the seller now is officially refusing to pay. I think right after, there were a lot of sellers that were like, no, we're not doing this. And so it shifted to the buyer temporarily, but now it's kind of, I guess it depends on the market.
Well, I think that the other side of that, right, is they thought that this was going to shift largely to the buyer. Yeah. But from what we've seen, it just hasn't, right? Let's think about all the things that go into, and these are conversations that we're having every day with our sellers, all the things that go into buying a home, right? You've got your down payment, you've got your closing costs, you've got your attorney fees, your home inspection, everything else, right? Buying a home is expensive. There's no denying that. So as a seller, right, if you're sitting there trying to position yourself in the market to sell your home, right, the question is, when the buyer's agent goes back to their client and says, hey, we're going to see 5 homes, right? These 4 are paying X percentage of the agency fee that we agreed to. And this one is paying none of it, right? Which one, as a buyer, are you going to say, I want to see, right? Because there's already so many incurred expenses, right? So the truth is, as a seller, if you're trying to position yourself in today's market, are you better off offering something out to buyer agency, right, or not? And there are some sellers out there that are going to say, I'm not paying anything, too bad. And the truth is, right now, their home's probably going to sit, because that buyer is going to look at that and say, I don't want to be on the hook for the entire thing. And it's nothing to do with us as advisors. We're not pushing any type of listing. Our job is simply to supply our buyers with the information to make an educated decision. So when we supply our buyers with, this is the cost and these are the overhead, which one do you think that buyer is going to want to go see?
Yeah.
So the truth is, it didn't stop sellers from paying. And in New Jersey, my stance on this, in New Jersey, we were one of the most transparent ones with this, with our sellers. This whole thing started because sellers in the Midwest were roped into thinking like, that, oh, well, we didn't know that we were paying buyer agency. Why am I paying, another agent to represent, whose job it is to take money out of my pocket and put it in their buyer's pocket, right? We didn't realize where that money was going. in New Jersey, since the case, we used to have a piece of our listing agreement that clearly stated X amount is going to the buyer's agent.
Yeah. Yep.
And after the lawsuit, we had to remove that transparency. So in my opinion, New Jersey became less transparent as a result of this lawsuit.
Yeah, now you got agents calling agents.
Now,
like, how much you going to give
now
me?
it's just like, you just call them on the phone, or they can email it and say we're offering this percentage or what have you. Because I remember when it first happened, I went and ran like the last 6 months of sales in my area, and 98% were paying. And nowadays, like since this has happened, I've had one deal where the seller said no. And my clients actually financed it into the loan, that my percentage. But everyone else, they're afraid. I mean, it's competition at the end of the day. And are you going to be the one person that's going to, you're basically raising your price, So to the point is that if they're not paying it, if they are paying it, is it already built into the price of the home? Right. So, and if you're looking at a certain price point of homes and the other ones have built it in and that one hasn't, to your point, the buyer's going to make the decision,
right?
Whether they want to or not. So the sellers we're explaining that to them, and in my opinion or in my experience, most of them are willing to pay it because
most of them are willing to pay it, and most of them
they know it.
I've had sellers say, "Well, I don't want to pay X percentage, right? I'm willing to pay this much,
yeah,
right?" And that's fine, right? And the conversation still comes back to that's fine, but your competition is going to be paying this much, right? So if we want to be competitive in the market, my advice as your advisor is to pay this much, X percentage.
And to be fair, when they bought their house, the seller paid their agent, so it's not like, they didn't benefit from this originally. And when they go to sell their house and they buy their next house, it's going to be the same situation, most likely. So,
all right. So knowing that underlying premise, what shadiness are we seeing out there? Who wants to take the first one?
Yeah. So
talk about
here's the truth, right? Is from what I've experienced, the unfortunate part of our industry is since this has happened, a lot of agents out there are uneducated and afraid to have the hard conversations with their buyers, with their sellers, everything else in between. And because that paired with the lack of inventory right now, agents are desperate. Right. And I had a client of my own. I've built a business on referrals and I've built a business on loyalty from my clients. And I had a client call me and say, Tom, I went to an open house and the agent at the open house told me I would get the home if I worked directly with them. I have a lot of feelings on that, and we're going to try and keep this as professional as possible. Let me take another sip here before we get into that.
I mean, but that's exactly what's going on out there,
right?
Or at least it was for an extended period.
It was for an extended period, and listen, the truth is, it's probably always gone on. It's a little more glaring now.
Yeah. I mean, the bar is pretty low in this industry.
Fair.
I think it's always been, but,
right. But it's a little more glaring now.
Yeah.
And because we're having those conversations up front with our buyers and signing on to an agreement, the buyer is a little more educated on the process, right? And they're understanding that, like, well, I've already signed on with this agent, and now you're trying. My buyer called me. They're trying to steal your business. And I remember saying to him, like, unfortunately, that's the landscape in our industry at times, right? It's not all agents, but it is certainly a problem that we face.
Well, and to your point, like when you were talking about bidding wars and this and that, if you have the loyalty of your buyer, now some of us, we meet people at open houses and then they come and will work for us. I may not have a huge, repertoire with them. Like they don't know me from anybody. I've maybe taken them out once, but their fear is I've already lost out on 2 bidding wars. Mm-hmm. This guy's telling me I'm just going to do it, know? And that's where the buyer agency agreement helps because you can't. But can you? Is there a way for them? I mean, they clearly must ask the question, have you signed about, or are they not? Did they not in that situation?
So here's what my thing is I think it should be mandatory for you to ask. I don't know how you police that,
Yeah.
but I ask everybody because you don't want.
You don't want to waste your time.
You don't want to waste your time.
Yeah.
You don't want at the 11th hour you thinking that, or you presenting to your seller, oh, this person it's a dual agency situation, which is a whole topic we have to get into. It's a dual agency situation. Maybe they're paying less in a whatever
whatever
it is. And then in the 11th hour, an agent pops up and they're like, no, I've been taking them out for 3 months. Like,
I've got this
I'm
agreement.
due here.
They send you over the agreement and things like that.
So,
right?
I mean, I think it's important to ask the second you come in contact with a buyer. And now we have to put those things in the open houses so everyone understands agency relationship. Like, I think in theory, the way that this all panned out from that Sitzer-Burnett case, Sitzer?
I don't know.
Sitzer.
No, Spitzer was the guy.
That's a whole
That's a whole other.
Yeah.
That's a whole other episode.
Asshole and Burnett case. Can we
That
go
guy.
with that?
I love it. More drinks. Yeah. So I think it's actually, to your point, actually turned a corner for us and policed it a little bit more, with the exception of now you have to take the listing agent at their word, right? And so, and I think I really do want to call you out on this, because I think when the whole thing was coming down as the broker owner, I was so overwhelmed. I was like, okay, we have to get this done. We have to make sure these people are on this. We have to do this so we don't get sued, right? And Tom, you really ran with it. You really were like, okay, he spent no time mourning the loss of our transparency, and you were like, I'm jumping in. How do I learn? What can I do? You were teaching the other agents. So I have to slow clap it up for you, because I think you're the reason we pivoted so well.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the truth, right? Is if you are an agent out there or an advisor, right? We're now in the landscape, right? And from agents that I spoke to throughout the country, part of the problem, the constant feedback was the lack of education from their broker, right? And the lack of preparedness from their broker. Like, they kind of got blindsided with everything breaking. The truth
I had
is,
brokers reaching out to me being like, can you come talk to our brokerage about this? I'm like, not for free.
and I think that was the landscape, right? A lot of brokers, nationwide kind of looked at this and went, this will never pan out. This will never happen, right? We were so far ahead of the curve in terms of you bringing it up in meetings. Hey guys, this is coming down the pike. This is what's kind of going on with this case, and keeping us up to date as to where things are going to go. Yeah. So when the actual news broke, it was, oh shit, it actually happened. Yeah. But it's not the end of the world.
Right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. 'Cause that was having the shout out to Pat Ascolese of the Ascolese Law Group. When you're married to an attorney, you get like, that whole community was like, this is happening.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to happen and you should be prepared. And so while everyone else was like, this will never happen, I was like, we got to get
so sunshine and rainbows, right?
But then
until
the
it
problem
isn't.
was even the MLS wasn't ready. And to their credit, like, they don't have this. So this legislation came down and it was immediate.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, now we make these changes. I would call and they'd be like, we don't even have the forms yet. We don't even know what to do. Yeah. So it was such a colossal like cluster, you know what? That like it was the blind leading the blind. Yeah. But I do think our office handled it very well. And I will say that 50% of that was you. I think you took the agents and you were like, we're going to do this. I'm doing this. Look at my contracts. Everything's fine. Like, I will say you did a great job.
And I looked at it from Jump Street as an opportunity. Again, I have a background in education, right? I very much value the education of my clients. And I took this from a perspective of, okay, this is an opportunity to educate our clients, right? I looked at it as an opportunity to talk to our clients about it, get ahead of the news and the clickbait, right? And be the adult in the room, so to speak. But also, to Erin's point, when we meet these clients, these random clients at open houses, things like that, we don't have the rapport with them right away, right? If you are presenting your buyer-broker agreement correctly, that presentation time is your opportunity to grow that relationship with that client. So if you're an agent and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, I haven't had much success with how to present this and how to get these things signed, and I'm just letting the client drive the commission conversation, everything else, right? Comment on this video, reach out and DM us, because we've had a ton of success on navigating this and positioning these buyer broker agreements as a win for the clients. Because the truth is, they are. Again, love or hate what happened. Yeah. These are a win for the clients, right? It's an opportunity to educate our clients. And when you take that approach, that rapport with the client is what builds that loyalty. Yeah. And now they look at you as the adult in the room. They look at you as the actual professional who's going to guide them through an inherently stressful process. Yeah. Yeah. And it's, if you look at it from that perspective and you shift that mindset into an opportunity mindset, you'll have far more success.
I'm going to bourbon or Scott. What am I drinking?
Hennessy.
Jesus.
I don't even know. It's what they drink in
I'm looking at Scott for help. I have no
Oh
idea.
my God.
I don't know what
Really? That's what we're going with, is what they drink in.
Yes, that's what I grew up in the 90s, and that's what they drank.
I think they drank like Alizé, which I'm pretty sure
They
is like
did,
cognac.
but I feel like it depends on the where they were. Were they in the club with bottle
I feel like we're
service? Then it was
skirting something we
Hennessy.
shouldn't be skirting.
Anyway, just drink up. What's next on the list?
I'm bringing up, and I'm gonna
Oh boy.
made up bidding wars.
Oh my gosh.
If you have been on the market for 2 minutes and you don't have a goddamn offer, and you call a highest and best 2 days later,
You should be executed.
Or you put a highest and best in the instructions when you list it.
Yes.
What is that about?
Or
Executed.
when you send out an email to the entire.
I never showed your property. I don't need my instructions, 17 letters and bullet points of how to bring my highest and best. I never saw the property. Stop. Get me off your list.
Get me off
what,
your list.
What is this?
So I
don't know.
did in the defense, because we like to say
Because she did it. No, I'm just sorry.
No, I don't do it. I refuse to do it. In fact, I have 2 offers on my own place, and they're like, call highest and best. I'm like, no, like they're strong for different reasons. It's not whatever. I had somebody in the burbs tell me this. I was showing a property. It was 1-3. House was not perfect. Corner of a busy road in Summit. She's like, market's changed. I would have had 12 offers on this. I now only have 4 supposedly. I'm like, how much do you have in hand? She's like, none. But I'm just going to call highest and best so that everybody comes off the fence. And that got me thinking, like, how much of this demand are we spurring?
Creating.
Yes.
But
How much,
Artificially.
if you didn't have somebody give you a deadline, you have to tell me this at this day.
yeah.
How much of this is actually people being like, take all my money? Like, I'm really interested to see if that panned out, what it was, because we have a huge uptick in deals dying.
Yeah.
And that's not us. That's in the entire industry.
Yep.
Where there's a lot of buyer's remorse right now because they
feel pressured.
They feel pressure, and there is no pressure. Like,
Right.
there is pressure.
But to your point, you remember that you had a listing and you were like, I had so many people come through the open house. Why is it crickets? And one of the agents told you, oh, I was just waiting for the highest and best
Yes.
email.
Yep,
So
that's
we've
true.
conditioned these agents to think that, okay, your clients love it. Let's just wait. Let's just wait for the instructions.
But not for nothing, shame on the agents.
Exactly.
Right?
I
Shame
would
on the
never
agents
do that.
for not being the adult in the room and guiding their client
Yeah,
and saying,
calling,
hey,
asking, what do you
hey,
have in
listen,
hand?
Hey, listen, I tell my buyers all the time, we should just submit an offer, right?
Yeah.
We should get our hat in the ring. And yes, are they going to try and leverage that offer and shop it? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But we're not going to show our hand off the rip, right? We can offer what we want to offer and see what they say, right? And I think that what got lost in the crazy market and agents getting fat by being lazy was the ability to communicate with each other.
Yes.
Right? And the true art of negotiating, right? And understanding that, listen, we've got to work for our meals now, right? The days of just throwing something out there now and sitting back and letting the money flow in, those days are gone.
But it's
right?
good, right? Because
it's
it
great.
weeds it out. It weeds it out.
It's
the
great.
people that are
Yeah,
And-
that's why you're going to see, like, again, we should have had the stats, but it's like why you're going to see, like, there's something like 1,011 realtors that identify with Hoboken alone. There's like 75 of us that do the most work, and you're going to see that shrink drastically.
Right.
Where more
Market
of the
share
big
market
agents-
share is going to be shifting dramatically over the
100%.
next couple of years.
especially as like all this stuff going on with Zillow, and like, let's talk about ethics. The new lawsuit that just came out with Zillow, where they're saying
With the
that they're
mortgage
getting
stuff,
kickbacks
to mortgage companies, yeah.
So if they, and it's very interesting to see where things go out, but there's a lot of agents that base their entire businesses on Zillow leads.
Zillow leads. Yeah.
What happens if that gorilla goes out?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go back to,
You got to go back to hunt
Referrals, and-
your milk's been brought to you for all these years. You got to go back to hunting.
Yeah. Well, I think what's interesting, and you and I talked about this years ago, is like the big mega teams, if you've noticed, that they're either getting 10 times bigger, or people that have tried to start them are like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Because to feed 17 mouths in this environment, it's just, it's unsustainable.
It's tough.
And it's tough. And it's like, why? What are we doing? Just to say that we're the best? Like, what? Just make money. That's, if you want to make money, you want to make money for your clients, you want to help them do something, like, that's at the crux of all of this, what's important. Saying that you're the biggest agent on the block, what is that? I mean, I guess it garners you some things. Like,
I mean, I guess it garners you people that, they don't know a realtor, or they don't have a friend that can
Right.
refer them. They look at the billboard and
a realtor.
I know, but some people
But
forget.
not
forget.
not all realtors ask for the business.
Well, that's the thing, it's for people that are just like, well, I saw her sign up, so I'm going to go with them,
I see this company's for sale sign all over town.
All over town,
and,
so
and I'm just going to give them a call.
yeah.
Listen, I get the play for it. I think at the end of the day, if you're just running a good business and yet maybe you do 30 deals a year versus 160, but you're not paying Zillow out 100 grand
That's
a year.
the thing. It's all about 6'7", 6'7".
Oh my God.
I have children.
You can tell she's got teenage children.
I've got children. No, but yeah. See, I remember when I first started this, you told me like it's going to take a while. And I remember the statistics in class that like 20% of agents make it after 2 years.
It's ridiculous.
It's nuts.
We have a huge burnout
It's
rate.
nuts. And I remember if I think back, would I have done it? Like, would I have done it? Now, 5 years into it, like, I don't know because
It's instant money.
because it's and you go a couple months, 3 months, 6 months without a paycheck, you know, and so you have to be able to understand what you're getting into, which this cheerleader did not really tell me 100%, but I'm glad because now I'm in it. But I remember I totally forgot my thought. Menopause. Next podcast.
I think if I could build on that, I think basically like what you did is you built a legitimate business versus just getting like some of these people that join big teams, like you're just getting fed business.
That's what it was.
You have to, that's great for instant gratification,
but
just like the rest of our society. But like at the end of the day, if that goes away, you have to be able to stand on your own.
And that's what I was going to talk about. Like you told me you build a client army, and that's I remember you talked about that you've been invited to weddings and this and that. And I don't have an army. Maybe I have like a battalion. I don't know what's smaller, but I'm growing it. And I'm getting people now calling me and being like, "Oh, you helped my friend," and that's like the hugest thing for me. It's like it makes me feel like okay, I haven't wasted these 5 years. Like you cry in your car, you do all this stuff, but people are now referring me, and now I understand.
And I'll even go one step forward. Now at 15. I don't do a single stitch of marketing. I don't pay for $1.
Don't tell Tom that.
No, because I do stuff like this and fun things. That, like you can have fun. It's just a better way to work. It takes longer.
Here's
it's
what
the tortoise of the hair.
But here's what our industry lost, right? And I'm probably the outlier between the three of us, right? The three of us cut our teeth on our own, right? Got into the business and it was a figure it out, sink or swim type of mentality. I was very fortunate enough to have our friend Nikki, who mentored me and mentored me and brought me along. And frankly, Lisa.
I had Lisa.
Right. And I had Lisa sitting next to me at the Empire office. Right. The truth is, though, and again, I may be the outlier in this, and Lisa and I've had this conversation. If I could go back and do it all over again, right, I probably would have started on a team. And not so much to be fed leads and everything else, but to learn the business, to learn the industry.
You had the opportunity to have people around you. So, okay, this is an interesting thing, and maybe you feel about I think back then was a very different time to start. I have multiple people come to me now, and they're like, should I be a realtor? And I'm like, no. Right. No. You shouldn't.
Do you think it's just because now you're more jaded and you see the things as a broker, or do you think it actually is? Like,
I mean, this is another podcast, but I don't think we're necessary in 10 years.
Well, thank God I'm old.
And listen, I've fought this fight with a lot of people. I think it's going to be like travel agency. We can't go down this route. This is a whole other topic. But I do think right now it's so hard to get into the business.
Oh my God, yeah.
You can't buy Zillow leads because they're $5,000 each lead. Like it's so hard to break in. Yes, you can join a team, but you're number 17 on the bottom of the team. Unless you do something spectacular, I don't know how you move up in that team. I think it's an amazing industry.
I think our threshold for entry is too low.
It's
too low.
Well, now I think it's too high. Not too high, but I think that you need
success.
You need $2,000 before you even make a deal.
No, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about like. I think that we've lost. Yeah, anybody can enter, right?
Anybody can enter.
And now everything's online. You could take the you could take the 2-week class, whatever, and get your real estate license and go around and tell people you're a realtor, right?
Well, this is why we have 1,075 do business.
Right.
I mean,
and what we've lost track of, and I think our industry greatly lacks, is that mentorship that I was fortunate enough to benefit from.
The only reason I'm successful.
I think agents that get into it now because of the instant gratification era that we are in with, social media and being able to order our food right from our phone, right, and get it 20 minutes later, we think everything should be like that.
Yep.
And I think that our industry has lost its way in terms of making sure that we are building our business and learning how to properly run a business instead of just make the money, right? There's a difference between an agent who's just making money and an agent who's running a business. Yeah. And we don't put enough emphasis on that mentorship program to learn how to build a business and build for time in this industry over money in this industry.
But also, I think to bring it back to our topic at hand, there's no ethical guidance.
No,
because
And now
it's
they're talking about-
every person for himself. To
Right.
your point,
Right.
buying listings, buying this.
Yep.
You know, with the decreased amount of listings and property, everyone is cutthroat. And I mean, you've said it. I'm not going to say, but there's agents in their own agencies cutting throats. You know, and it's like, to the whole point of mentorship in this, like, I started 5 years ago when my business died in my previous career, and a lot of other people in my previous career were salespeople. A lot of them jumped into real estate all over the country, Texas, California, and me. Probably 5 of my friends. I'm the only one left standing.
Really?
Yeah. And well, one that left prior to me, she's great. But the other ones all, you know, they were like, how did you do it? How? I didn't even know what I was doing. And I was like, it's because of where I landed. And honestly, it was because of you and because of our company, because everybody cared. Like, I remember going out. This is another part. Get back to the office. You know, when we used to have office outings and people
What
would.
it actually says here is get back to the office, you fucking fuck.
Yes. When we used to have
And
non-antisocial.
Erin wrote the rundown.
I did. God, we used to have parties and everything else. And that's where, like, I learned how to do what to do. And I got, like, really great tips from, you know, Drunken Alex and Drunken Anthony. And that was bonding. But if it wasn't for this company and if it wasn't for the people behind me, I never would be here. I would have been like all the other women in my industry who pivoted from fashion to this. And I'd be answering phones at a dentist office.
And that's the thing. There's a very low barrier to entry.
Yes.
But the rock stars make it. Like, it's very much a sink or swim environment, which
Yeah.
I kind of love and thrive in.
Yeah, because.
But it's also like, to go back to the first topic, now we're going to do away with the only governing body. It's like, I know we pay them a fortune, and when push come to shove, they really did nothing for us. But at the same time, imagine a world where they don't exist. It's
They are
scary.
horribly flawed.
Horribly
We
flawed.
can all agree on that. And I think any agent listening to this will agree that they are horribly flawed. But the truth is, we are the wild, wild west. If without them, forget it. It would be pure chaos.
chaos. It's already-
And they are a necessary evil, I guess we could say, in our industry that needs to figure out how do they truly contribute to the industry and how do they truly actually give us something for our money.
Yep.
Because I think we can all agree that we haven't gotten shit for our money.
Yeah,
Right. The amount of money that we give them every year over year is astronomical.
I'm interested to see too now, and I don't know if I can say this on here, but I think they still have, because of that lawsuit, I think they have a massive amount of money left to pay them.
They do. They tiered out the payments, and you can absolutely say, right, because it's all public knowledge, right? You can jump on and find their pay structure on online, right?
Yeah, like,
So
what is that going to do to our fees if they?
what is that going to do to our fees, right? And I think when the lawsuit first settled, I believe, right, they put out a statement that they weren't going to increase fees for X amount of years. It was tiered out, whatever their plan was. I don't want to speak out of school and tell you exactly what the plan was, right? But they absolutely still owe money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that
Like a lot of money.
that money is going to be due, and the truth is they're going to have to find a way to get that money. But like most things in this world, right? My guess is they can find it by maybe, I don't know, shrinking the administrative level stuff that goes on at NAR, right? For a company and an association that, like we said, hasn't given us shit.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe you can, consolidate your upper echelon, administration
Right.
and make up some of those costs. I don't know. Call me crazy.
Let's do a round of personal stories. I want an example
Oh, God.
of recent, no names, no companies, of some unethical behavior that you've had recently.
Start with him. I got to think.
Yeah, mine's easy. The story that we started with, right? The client who called me about the open house.
Yeah.
And I don't know the name. I don't know the name of the agent that was there. But I know that it happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough that my client, was completely transparent with me. But she walked into an open house and the agent was licking her chops, sitting there going, well, I'll just tell her that she'll get the home if she goes with me, which is not the case.
Right.
Right. And if it is the case, again, red flags should be going up. How many other buyers is
Did
she
she tell
telling
that
that
to?
to?
Right.
Right? Where all of a
Good
sudden
point.
she's got 5 offers and 3 of them are hers.
Yeah.
Right? Do you want to be pitted against her other clients that are actually there, her offers, that she's going to give everybody last licks on that price.
Yeah, and also her responsibility is to the seller.
Is to the seller.
Always. So they should. Did they get the house?
They didn't even go with her.
Oh,
the client, to the client's credit.
Turned off.
No, I meant did you even offer on that house?
No. The client's credit, she had a horrible taste in her mouth. She's like, I just felt dirty when I walked out of there. Like, is that the way that agents behave? I said, it's the way that some agents behave, unfortunately, right? So the truth is, if you're an agent out there who's trying to play that leverage game during your open houses, you're coming off, and you are the problem with our industry.
Yes. Yeah.
You're coming off as the used car salesman in our industry and giving us the bad name that got us sued, that has shifted the landscape and the way that we do our business. You are the problem with our industry.
So I had one recently, new first-time home buyers, not stupid. Like this guy was good with numbers, getting a 15-year mortgage. Like, I was very impressed by him. He did his homework. Put an offer in on a place that had sat for 2 weeks. The agent goes, I have a couple offers. Let's say the property was $800K. My guy came in at $775. Not crazy.
No.
In a normal market. And the guy came back, no, he won't let it go for anything less than $825.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, right, but your listing is at $800. He's like, well, I have offers at $825. First of all, you're not allowed to say that you have offers at $825. He did that. I said to my guy asked me, he's like, full on, should I call his bluff? What do you think? And I was like, I think he's lying. And you have 9 months. You don't have to move. You're in a 9-month lease. Let's call his bluff. There's 15 other of the exact same apartments that I'm sure will come on in the next 9 months. Okay, so we did it. They're in contract for $800. And I'm like,
with that listing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We came in $800, or we're going to this one that's off market, which was the truth. Came right back with a signed contract, not even acknowledging the fact that I just caught you in a massive lie.
Now let me ask you this: do you think that's the agent playing that without a conversation with the seller, or do you think that that's a seller agent conversation where they went, let's try and leverage this? And
that's an interesting question. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think equal opportunity offenders.
Yeah. Fair.
I think there's probably both of that going on, because I think sellers are having a really hard time with the market shifting a little bit, and they're not getting 125 grand over asking, and I sometimes I just think they need a little reality check, and my guy was more than willing to give it to them.
Yeah, you need to get slapped in the face.
He's very happy. Everybody's fine.
Problem with this generation, they haven't gotten a good smack, and sometimes somebody needs a good smack.
Yep, so true.
Yeah.
Do you have an example?
Let me think. Well, so dealing with an agent who will not be whatever, but I've had a few with this agent. And so I put in an offer. He said he had another offer. I was obviously, trying to get the number that would work. And he told me a number that would work. I went back to my clients and said, I don't buy it. I don't believe this guy. I think we should go $5K over.
Yeah,
I just have
because of that agent's reputation.
Because of that agent's reputation. I have a gut feeling that the other offer is his and he's lowballing us so he can get it. And they refused. So they were like, no, we're going to go with the number he said. Sure enough, it closed for the $5K over.
What you closed for? What you offered?
What I said to them to do. They didn't listen to me. It closed. He double-ended it. So again, it's just, look, I don't expect you to tell me what you have, but don't tell me this is the number that's going to get you the home. And just flat out know that that's a lie, and that I'm gonna, you're gonna double end it. So it's, but that's the best part about being in this industry and having only a certain amount of people that are selling. The ones that are doing this.
Yeah.
So who to tell your clients. We're not taking this with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
like, we're taking this with
this.
Also, one thing is, if he was double ending it, he might have offered a lower amount of commission.
100%. So
that might have made it
which is why the numbers, even though the number I told them to go with, we probably wouldn't have gotten it. But at least I proved to them, to my buyers, you got to listen to me.
Yep.
There was 7 other offers. They didn't listen to me. They finally got it when they listened to me. 7 houses. But, that's you learn. You learn. And it is like you said, there's a lot of shady characters. There's a lot of great ones, too, that are really, at the end of the day, we just all want to get the same thing done.
We all have to play in the same sandbox.
Have to play that. Yeah. So to this whole point, I've dealt with a lot of those, but I've also dealt with a lot of really lovely people who at the same end of the day, we're all like, we're on the same team. We just want to get this done.
Yeah.
And I do think it changes depending on the market and depending on the property,
and depending on, like, with all these people backing out of deals with buyer's remorse, I think it's going to shift things even more drastically than it already has.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. This was once again a great debate.
Yes, cheers. Oh, you're done.
Yeah, I don't understand why you guys still have any whiskey left.
The club. Yeah, I can't. I'm getting a headache already.
Follow us. Tune in next time.
Drop a comment below. Let us know what you guys want us to cover.
Yeah.
We're open to having this conversation. The goal here is to make this an interactive, right? We want to cover what people want to hear. Yeah. So drop a comment below if there's something that you guys want us to, elaborate on or something that you have questions about.
Thanks, guys.